Hi everyone, Mischka Jacobs here from Vet Innovation, and I'm speaking with ThoMarcus Nix.
Yes. How you doing?
Project, bro, project.
How you doing? I'm sorry.
We did practice rounds before because I speak really loudly and ThoMarcus is a gentle, soft-spoken soul. Very two different personalities here today. So I've only heard about him before. And he's one of those people who his reputation precedes him, and having chatted to him this morning, I can tell you that his reputation is spot on. What an incredible human being. Like, he's getting embarrassed, but it's true.
Thank you.
I had the privilege of listening to your story.
Yes.
Would you mind repeating it?
Yes. So I was basically born and raised in Washington, D.C. I'm 29 years old. I basically came here about 5 years ago. In September, I was recruited on an athletic scholarship at Crandall University from Dundalk Community College in Baltimore. I've basically been looking forward to trying to take over the city as far as with the kids to get them off the streets and so forth like that, because they have a high drug rate. But basically what it was is I ran into a lot of obstacles in life, I should say, while growing up, because I was moved around from place to place, from Washington, D.C. to different parts of Georgia. Throughout that trial and tribulations of being homeless at some points and times, I was able to still push through. Even after dropping out of high school and so forth like that, I turned myself around and went back and received my high school diploma. It opened up many doors, which is something that I'm hoping that will inspire others this afternoon when I give a couple of strategies and so forth like that. But other than that, it's pretty much a easygoing, selling, I should say, life for me now. Things are going great. I have 3 more courses left at Crandall University, which is basically I'll be working on psychology and business, but business administration is the key point where I'm focusing at for my business, which is Marco's Sports Clinic. Other than that, I'm not really too savvy on what else to say outside.
I have tons of questions, don't you worry. Oh my goodness. Okay, they're going to have to cut me off.
Okay.
So, why did you go back to high school? Why did you think it was important?
Went back to high school because, of course, I wanted to do things with kids. I knew that I wanted to reach out to them in some type of way. I did not know at the point in time what I wanted to do. Before, I wanted to run a Boys and Girls Club, which I thought would be a great place for kids to go after school that didn't have any other options, instead of going home sometimes and not having parents there or something to do or keep them involved, even helping them with their homework. So that inspired me to go back to school because, of course, I knew I needed a degree in some sort, shape, or form to make that dream come true. I did not know that it would turn into me wanting to actually coach basketball, which I've always had a passion and a love for. So that is one of the things that got me going. Also, I wanted to be the first, which is to attend college, because none of my brothers have ever successfully finished college. So I would be the first male in the Nix clan to do that.
So, before you started this amazing journey, you had a really cool gig working for Homeland Security.
Yes. So I basically, when I was 19, I started work for the Department of Homeland Security, which I traveled around the world as far as the U.S., issuing out what we call PIV cards, which are personal identity verification cards. So at a young age, being able to travel around the world and experience life from a different aspect, but not only at that age, being able to I should say, work with other peers that were older and much more mature, because I was probably the youngest in the building at that time. It taught me a lot as far as how to carry myself. It also allowed me to mature quicker. And it also opened me up to, I would say, networking with different people that gave me pointers, guidance, and so forth like that to achieve a goal that I was looking to reach. I did not know that I would leave a job like that to go to school. I never thought, especially with a 19-year-old making $80,000+ a year. It's kind of hard to believe, but it was a great choice. It was actually a great choice, and I'm very happy that I did it. One of the other reasons is because I wanted to possibly go back and work for the Department of Homeland Security, and I knew that the only way to grow in the government was to have an education behind me. So that was another reason why I did so.
That's awesome. And would you classify it as invaluable experience for what you do now?
Yes, I would somewhat say so, because it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot in so many different ways, not just life, but working and dealing with people. I would tell people going to college is probably one of the best things you do because you learn how to socialize.
Yeah, interpersonal skills.
Exactly, which is a great thing because I'm very outspoken, but I'm more of a shy nature. I like to stay behind the scenes, so it actually allowed me to open up. The only other place that I've ever been more outspoken probably is on the basketball floor. And that's just from leadership skills, which is something that basketball taught me, leadership.
Yeah. So how did you get an idea to start your sports clinic? And why do you call it a sports clinic?
Sports clinic because you go to a health clinic, for example, when you go to a health clinic to receive some type of help in some sort, whether it's for a sickness or disease or whether it's just a pain or an ache, you go to try to get some type of, comfort that's of some sort. So with me naming Marco Sports Clinic, everyone has ever called me Marco that knows me for basketball. So I stuck with Marco. And then for the clinic part, it just came from basically me wanting to work with kids. After being in the area for 4 years before I started my business, I realized that there was a lot of kids in the surrounding Moncton area that were using drugs and so forth like that at a very young age, and even some that I've witnessed using it in front of their parents. So my thing was more of the fact where when I was working for a company where I was actually working with kids with that, I wanted to give them some type of out. So my thing was if I could bring a kid that was interested in basketball, maybe not soccer or hockey, because they wanted an out or something that they could go to school, or even give them something to look forward to as far as what they could go to school for. I wanted to open up that clinic to give them some type of comfort, some place where they could come and they could feel accepted, some place where they could come and they could feel like they could speak to me about something if they didn't have someone else in the home to speak about, or to speak to them about, I should say. So that's what I looked for when I looked at Marco's Sports Clinic instead of just Marco's Clinic or Marco's Camp. I chose the word clinic for that reason.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful story. Can you believe that this man is here in Moncton starting a revolution with kids? It's so cool.
Yes.
It's so cool. I'm so glad I met you.
Thank
No,
you.
really.
You as well.
And what's even cooler is that he calls his kids his clients.
Yes.
So when I was asking him if we could schedule this, he's like, oh no, I'm very busy with my clients. So I was like, what do you do? He's like, it's my kids.
Yes. So I also coach at Harris Trimble High School, the varsity boys team. So I work very closely with kids. I also I'm an assistant coach at Crandall University where I used to play basketball at. So I also, of course, work with the older kids, even guys that have. It's easier for me to give them insight because I had already taken that path. So it's very nice because most of them will look and ask me certain things, and I'm able to teach them certain things that they may not be prepared for. There's a lot of kids that come to Crandall University that actually are international students, and it's nice to be able to see someone else and tell them that, you know what, it's going to be rough this first year because it's a different environment compared to where you're coming from. But sometimes hearing something just that, simple from someone else that you know that they're not from here as well, it kind of gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah,
because I
it
know
tells
when
them that they're not alone, what they're experiencing is not unique, and that it gets better.
Yes, because when I came here, I didn't have anyone. And the first thing that I kept saying is I need to get out of here. And I was trying to figure a way to get out, all of the excuses to get out of here because it wasn't my norm.
Yeah.
But after I stuck through with my coach Jonathan Spears, he was a really, really big help to me. He stuck there. He helped me get through situations, opened his home up for me, made me feel welcome. The people in Moncton made me also feel welcome. showed me a lot of love, which of course it fueled me to keep pushing. So as I tell people now, it's no way that I could leave because of all of the connections I have with the kids.
Yeah.
Because when for example, if I'm like this morning, if I was at let's say Birchmount, and then tomorrow I'm at Trimble, and then the next day I'm at Petticoat, all of those kids, when I go into the schools, it's like they're immediately attached, because I think it's a different view, because they first see a big tall black guy, and the first thing they all scream is, "Do you play basketball?" And it's like, "Yes, I play basketball." And then they go home. Yes, and then they go home, and of course they Google, because kids love the internet. They get on Google and they start typing in names, and then they come back the next day and they're like, "Mr. Nix, you're on the internet." So they really think they met a superstar, even though I'm not a superstar.
Maybe you kind of are, and you're just too shy and humble to like acknowledge. Are you?
Well,
do I need to Google?
Well, I mean, if you Google, you're fine, but most of them, they'll look and then they'll come back, of course, and they're like, yeah. So I use that technique, honestly, and that connection to teach them so much, because at that point in time, they're going in there seeing their teacher every day, and then they're, of course, looking at their teacher and they're saying, okay, I see you every day. You have nothing in common with me. But then when they see someone like me, and then they see that, okay, this is someone, because of a stereotype, this is someone that is connecting with me. And of course I look younger than I am, most people tell me, so they look at it as, okay, he's understanding. So for example, if I have a kid that is looking and he's in a class being disrespectful, and I'm like, guess what, you have to be successful, you have to be respectful. Or guess what, they are always asking, another thing is about my shoes, which I know you guys probably listen and say, that's the wildest thing, but kids love shoes. And most kids wonder, how in the world do you get those shoes? And you know what I tell them? I tell them, guess what? You have to go to school in order to get these shoes. Because guess what? If you go to school, you're going to get a better job, which will allow you to get these shoes. And those are kids that have nothing. And when you tell them things like that, it sometimes it flicks a switch. Even if it's not all of them, it could be just one. But that one person that I get to, it's like a celebration for me. It's like a celebration, because that one kid is choosing to go the opposite way of the rest, which is the same situation with me. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Did you always know, or did you have a light bulb moment, or did it just like naturally happen that you started the clinic?
No, I had planned it for, like I said, I had been planning it and writing stuff down and drawing out little things and trying to figure out how I wanted to do it and what I wanted to do with it. But it wasn't a light bulb moment. It was more of okay, you've been planning or you've been brainstorming long enough, let's get it. Like, because the season was over. Like right after the season was over, before it was
when
over.
When you were finished playing basketball?
Yes, playing basketball. I immediately knew that I wanted to start. Like I was like, this is the perfect time to start. I had already had kids asking me to work out with them, so it kind of was like, okay, let's go. Even though I kind of didn't want to start that early, because I kind of wanted to finish school first, but I believe that God pushed me in that direction to start then. I believe that He also brought me here, which I used to tell people I don't know why in the world I'm in Moncton, but now I know. So it worked out in a good way, I should say.
You juggle a lot. You've got this clinic, you have a full-time job somewhere else.
Yes.
How do you manage it all?
So basically with me being an EA, it's only from 8 to 3, or either I'll do a half day or whatever the case may be, whatever I'm scheduled for. So I'll do that, and then after that, usually I have maybe a 2-hour window sometimes that I can go from there to basically do my homework or whatever. I'm really a night owl, so with me being a night owl, I think every college student becomes a night owl, because you're up late doing homework and things like that. But I try to balance between really work and then my business. I try to separate the two, because work and my business is very important, but the schooling part of it is more important to me. So I try to balance those two out, because school gets as much time as it really needs. I usually sometimes cancel things for school because it's hard to juggle, like I said, a full-time business and volunteering in so many different aspects or different parts of people's lives, and then also coming back and trying to do papers.
Yeah.
So I do have balance. I would say I do. Sometimes I don't. If I was to be honest, honestly, I would say I don't. Which I think is every college student. If you're in school, you really don't have balance. unless you just have school and that's nothing else. But
Yeah.
that's very rare nowadays for someone to actually be able to go to school and not have to work and do other things.
Yeah. And is there any challenges specifically that you go through as a business owner that you'd like to talk about?
So I'll give you a brief on that, but the challenges I would say is first and foremost coming here as an immigrant. If you come here as an immigrant and you do not have your residency, which is what I'm working on now, you have no options really to like take out loans. Like if I wanted to take out a small business loan, there's probably a higher chance that I'm going to get rejected because, for example, we have a SIN number that we're given, which is not really an actual SIN number. It's just temporary. Yes. So with them looking at that, they're looking at it as if they, of course, grant me or give me this loan that I may take off and run back to the U.S. and then I don't have to pay it. It's a loss for them. The other thing I would say, for example, with me and my business is being that it's basketball, it's very hard to access gyms. Like you have to rent them out, or they're booked by different things on a yearly basis for certain situations and events that they hold. So I ran into the challenges of trying to find gym time. The other thing, which I think is for everyone, I don't think it's just for me, is the snow. The snow.
I met someone from Trinidad, and I absolutely love this. She said that winter in Canada is the most demeaning experience.
Yes.
Because I think it was her first winter, and she had called a cab, and she was trying to walk to the cab, and she would keep falling.
Yep.
And then eventually had to crawl
Yes.
to the taxi. And she was like, it is the most demeaning experience.
It puts everything on pause. Most people still work around it, but of course it makes everything harder because of the cancellations and
the weather.
Yes, so when you run into that, it kind of cuts you off, especially, for example, someone like me who's working in the school system. If there's a lot of days where, like, let's say it's canceled,
There's no school.
yeah, then I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. So that can be a challenge. The other thing is of course, trying to find a job, because when you only speak one language and you're not bilingual, it's harder to get a job because most of the jobs require you to speak French, especially if it's a good job, or I should say a well-paying job. They want you to be able to speak French so you can, of course, be able to speak or deal with all of the clientele that they may have. So I think that was one of the other challenges, which is not being able to speak French, which is funny because my brother is fluent in French. My mother put him in French immersion, and he's not in Canada.
French immersion in the U.S.?
Yes, so he's fluent. Wow. He was put in it when he was in a it's actually kindergarten. I think he started, and then he was in it all the way up, I think, until after high school. So he took a trip to Paris and so forth. So he's fluent in French. He can come here and talk to anyone. But I don't know a lick. Only bonjour, comment ça va, tout t'appelles comment, je m'appelle ThoMarcus. Yes. And I probably didn't even say that with the correct accent.
Wow. Like,
so that's about as much
let's not
as
get into the accent issue. Everyone has an accent. I have an accent in English. People struggle to understand me in English, so don't worry about accents. Anyway, we love them.
Yeah,
When you meet someone from overseas and they have an accent, you're like, oh, oof, the way they talk, just keep talking to me.
Yes,
so,
yes. That's another thing, because most people say, you have such a country accent, which is somewhat true. I guess I get it from when I lived in Georgia. But it's actually very funny because a lot of people will say, yes, your accent sounds so great. Like, keep talking, because it sounds good. Just hearing it, it's comforting. So that's a really good thing. But yeah, I do enjoy that part of it, I should say.
Yeah.
The difference, I should say, the variety.
I enjoy it too, and just seeing how people express themselves differently.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.